All right, so I'm sitting down here with the candidate for Bruce, a man by the name of Tim Boyanton, was it? Boyanton? Yeah. I'll try and remember that one. Very strapping candidate, if you're asking me. No homo, obviously. So yeah, good on you for putting your hand up for the party. So you're in the lower house seat, obviously. Yep. I mean, it's obviously that means it's unlikely you're going to win, but at least you can put your hand up and make a stand and give people an actual genuine option. So let's just assume that you were to win the seat. Obviously, it's not likely, but let's just pretend that it happened. What would you do if you were able to get into Parliament? And let's say you're lucky enough to get the balance of power, because even if we win once, or if you win one seat, you're not going to be able to make government, but you could potentially win the balance of power. So how would you go about your business with that?
Well, the first thing I'd do is repeal the 18C. Obviously, the party policy is absolute freedom of speech, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So that'd be the first thing. The second thing that we'd like to introduce is a government-funded bank, so that way we can rebuild our manufacturing, agricultural and infrastructure, and keep it Australian owned instead of sending it offshore. That's probably the two big things.
So, I mean, in terms of that, obviously setting up an Australian owned bank and taking currency creation out of the hands of who are essentially foreigners at this stage is a step in the right direction. But I mean, I've got an economics background, and I can say that would only be one step. Would you consider any other measures in order to maybe deregulation of the industrial relations system, maybe lower taxation, or some other way of bringing manufacturing back into the country?
Yeah, well, the next step, and it's an important one, would be to tear up our agreements with the United Nations, because at the moment they've got too much control over our economy. So if we relinquish some of our agreements there, that would bring the power back to our government. So I think that would also sit well with it. Obviously, we could look at tax options, whether just to reduce sort of what the individual taxpayer is paying. And obviously that would reduce the cost of living and sort of give the economy a good bump as well. So that's definitely worth having a look at as well. So
yeah, that definitely makes sense, and it's good to want to get the UN out of our policy. Like, we don't want any foreigner to be dictating Australian policy. What about energy policy? I mean, I know we've got all this climate change rubbish just forcing itself onto our economy. Would you consider opening up the market for more coal power plants, I should say, or what about even nuclear power? Because we have so much uranium in this country that it seems a bit of a waste for us to sell it overseas but not actually use it ourselves.
Well, obviously the United Nations has mandated our country for renewable energy. Now, if the other parties get in and implement that, the cost of living is just going to absolutely skyrocket. So through that, we'd obviously look at building coal-fired power stations. The Helio stations are 96% efficiency or something like that. And obviously that gives us all baseload power, which is a requirement for our current society. So,
And just finish up, do you follow the footy?
Yeah, I'm a mad Collingwood supporter.
Oh,
I'll try to get there every week.
Don't vote for him. don't vote for him. No, just kidding.
Vote one.
Actually, they're going all right this year, aren't they? They're probably the second best team. You reckon? It's funny because it looks like Collingwood and Geelong are probably going to play in the grand final, so it's going to be kind of a battle between who chokes the least. So do you reckon if it's that, you might actually have a chance, because Collingwood or Geelong are just as big a chance at choking as Collingwood are?
Yeah, well, obviously the round one clash where we lost by 5 or 6 points was a pretty close game, so it'd be another classic duel when it come around, if it comes around at finals time. Obviously there's a lot of time to go between now and finals with injuries and stuff, so hopefully we can just keep fit and obviously build the momentum with the team and take it all the way this year. So we'll just wait and see.
Well, I mean, you're not a Hawthorn supporter, but nobody's perfect.
No,
Thanks.
That's right.
Thanks for answering a few questions. Best of luck, and
Thanks for your time, mate.
if it doesn't happen this time, then there are plenty of elections in the future.
Yep.
Excellent.
Sure.
Thank you very much.